Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today I've got some awesome Battlefield 4 news. We're approaching Gamescom and they're kind of buttering us up with some cool blog posts. This latest one is from Alan Kurtz, who is a gameplay designer on Battlefield 4, and regarding Battlefield 3, he basically had his hands all over weapon balance and a lot of really core key features in Battlefield 3 multiplayer. I have a lot of faith in this guy's ability to balance weapons properly and have good decisions made about multiplayer balance and that sort of thing. And we've got a lot of new information about class balance and suppression in this recent post. And before we get into that, here are some cool high-res photos from this blog post showing off the classes for each faction. We have US, Russia, and Chinese. This first one here is US. We can see the classes from left to right: support, engineer, recon, assault. So you can see they all look similar in that they're on the same team, but they've all got unique pouches of different gear on them that seems to be more pertinent to the type of class they're playing. The support class, again, we see has got the cool M249, but it's the Para M249, which is a shorter version with a different sort of collapsible stock. You can see the assault class has got a cool grenade belt on there. Now the Russian team is looking very cool for Battlefield 4. The support class has got a lot of armor on. As you can see, he's got that extra shoulder padding, bulletproof shoulder padding. His chest armor just is huge. He's got an awesome ballistics helmet on. So the support class is just completely decked out. You'll notice the assault class has the AK-12 assault rifle, which is the new, basically, Kalashnikov assault rifle for the Russian faction. Again, we've got grenade pouches, which I believe could either be explosive grenades, smoke grenades, incendiary grenades. Flashbangs, I hear, are going to be big with the assault class, so looking forward to all the different kinds of explosives available to them. And then last up, we have the Chinese faction. We haven't seen these guys in a Battlefield game since Battlefield 2, and I gotta say, they're looking pretty damn badass. Look at the support class. He's got that ballistics helmet pushed back on his head. It'll be real interesting to see if they integrate a way to actually equip the ballistics helmet on the support classes. I believe in multiplayer, I just keep seeing them running around with the ballistics helmet on the top of their head, which seems kind of funny that you wouldn't actually be using it in the heat of battle. He's got the Type 88 machine gun on there. He's got awesome looking shoulder pads, sort of looks like something out of one of those old SWAT movies or something, those Kung Fu SWAT movies. And we've got the engineer who's actually using a new shotgun. It's called the QBS-09. It's got a retractable stock. It's semi-automatic and it looks pretty cool. I'm looking forward to using that shotgun. The assault class has the QBS-09, which we have already seen some pretty cool gameplay of this weapon in action. I'm hoping that the Russians, Chinese all have really good assault rifles that can definitely compete with the US assault rifles, so that each faction has something that can definitely outplay the other one in a certain area. And one last thing before we get into analyzing this article and the new class improvements that we're getting. Gamescom is just around the corner. There's going to be some new Battlefield 4 footage. One of the big exciting things is that there's going to be a new map reveal there, and they're actually saying that we're going to see something that's going to totally blow our minds in terms of Levolution. I think a lot of people are speculating that it's going to be a dam map, potentially the return of Kubra Dam with a destructible dam in the middle of the map. That's sort of the ongoing theory right now, and I would not be surprised if that's what we're going to see. Now, we're also going to see the first Battlefield 4 jet gameplay, which again correlates with Kubra Dam. Kubra Dam had some awesome jet combat in there, and we're going to be seeing the Chinese J-20 stealth fighter plane, which I gotta say, go Google that thing right now. It's an amazing looking strike craft. I can't wait to fly this thing in Battlefield 4. Alright, so on to this post about class balance. I'm going to go over the key points here. If you want all the details, go read it. It's linked in the video description. Now, some of the big things here that have changed is support is getting C4 and Claymores. Now, this doesn't mean that Recon is not getting C4 or Claymores. Recon is also getting C4 and Claymores, which is interesting. I'm kind of surprised because part of the article is about differentiating the classes, really giving them specific stuff that they can do that other classes can't. Yet we're giving both support and Recon C4 and Claymores. On the bright side, though, nobody's going to complain about not having C4 for the support class. And now the Recon players can play their Spec Ops class that they've always missed from Battlefield 2. Another big part of this article focuses on mobility. They're trying to get away from stationary gadgets and utilities, like putting down a SOFLAM and then having to operate it for extended periods of time, or anything else that requires you to sit still, flying an MAV around. So they've added in gadgets to the game that are going to allow you to be more mobile if you want to be. One of them is a mobile SOFLAM equivalent. So if you're playing the Recon class, you can pop out this little laser designator, designate something on the move. You don't have to set it up, you don't have to put it down, you can just hold it, designate it, somebody can fire a rocket and blow it up. So I really like this, sort of increasing the just agility of classes in general. You also are getting motion grenades back, of course, for the Recon class, which are just the mobile version of a tugs or an MAV. And I know an MAV is mobile, but this basically allows you to just chuck a motion grenade and keep on running. So that's really nice. The support class is getting something that they're calling a remote mortar. So I'm either guessing you have to set this up from your deployment, or perhaps you'll just have the ability to call in a mortar strike, kind of like you did in Bad Company 2. We'll have to see how this works out. I'm hoping it's not too overpowered. Nobody really likes getting killed with mortars, so I'm just, again, hoping that they don't rely too heavily on sort of aerial bombardments, because that is the kind of game mechanic that will get people to rage quit. We're getting a whole bunch of new kinds of rocket launchers, which is really great. I love the variety of rocket launchers that you had in Bad Company 2. We're getting the small back, the RPG back, but we're also getting the SRAW, S-R-A-W. This is a wire-guided rocket launcher that everybody loved from Battlefield 2. I'm very curious to see how the wire guide effect works. Does it mean you can lock on, the missile will auto-target? Does it mean you can fly it around like the AT-4 in Bad Company 2 and change its trajectory? Will it actually have a TV screen? I'm hoping it's something similar to the AT-4. They're also talking about balancing out the rocket launchers so that the lock-on rocket launchers do less damage, where the dummy rocket launchers, the fire and forget rocket launchers like an RPG, are going to do more damage. I really like this. You haven't seen a lot of this sort of balance in Battlefield games before, so I think that's going to be a great balancing factor to just make sure that people with lock-on weapons don't end up killing everything. Alright, let's talk about the new field upgrade system. Now, before in Battlefield 3, we have a system where you pick one perk and then somebody else in your squad is supposed to pick a different perk. The only problem is that if you pick the same perk, then you don't get added benefits, or somebody in your squad could have a perk that's totally useless or just doesn't pertain to the environment that you're playing in. So now you can pick your own perk, your own field upgrade progression tree. So, for example, the offensive tree that is available to everyone, they have the offensive and defensive tree, which are sort of the standard trees that you get at the beginning. Comes with sprint. Then the next level is ammo, next level is grenades, and the final level is reduced fall damage. Now, you always start off with the very first level, which is sprint, and as you do more squad-related activities, you upgrade your basically unlocked chart, and then you can get ammo, and then grenades, and then further on. Now, if your entire squad wipes, you actually lose points, and so you can actually lose squad or your field upgrades if your entire squad wipes. If you repeatedly wipe with your squad, I believe in theory you could get your entire field upgrades tree reset, essentially, so you would be back to your very first unlock. Now, again, everybody has access to the offensive and defensive field upgrades tree. The defensive tree starts out with armor, then it goes to cover, then it goes to flak, then it goes to quick health regen. Now, the big controversial thing here is armor. Everybody's like, whoa, armor, we haven't seen that since Bad Company 2, and that could actually be a pretty big game changer. Now, it has been confirmed that if you do have the armor perk equipped, you are going to be running slower, so there are some trade-offs. My only hope is that because armor seems like it's going to be so incredibly useful, it's going to reduce damage taken to your torso. And I just hope that some of the other field upgrade trees are just so incredibly useful that they override the powerfulness of armor, because the ability to take one more shot is going to be invaluable in any sort of competitive environment, and frankly probably in a public game environment as well. Now, here's the cool thing with the field upgrade trees. You have 4 options to choose from whenever you select a class. You have the 2 basic ones, the offensive and defensive, but then each class has 2 specific field upgrade trees. So you could get one for, say, the assault class that gives you a lot more rounds for your grenade launcher, or it allows you to deploy multiple med packs at a time. You could get ones with the sniper class that allows you to hold your breath for longer periods of time. So they have a lot of very cool specific field upgrades, and if you go and read the article, they actually list them all out there, so you can kind of imagine what some of the trees are going to be. Now, a very interesting old school field upgrade that's coming back in Battlefield 4 is called Repair Unit. This name could change by the time BF4 is out, but basically once you get this field upgrade unlocked and you get into a vehicle, you're going to have proximity repairing for other vehicles around you. Now, this was incredibly powerful in previous Battlefield games. In fact, it might have been a little bit too powerful if you had an organized squad that all had this perk, but we'll have to see how it plays out. It's very interesting that they're bringing it back because it's kind of dangerous, to be honest. Now, how about that Suppression? Suppression is probably the most talked about subject in terms of balancing Battlefield. It's been rage-inducing for some people. Some people love it. It's just been this polarizing part of the Battlefield community. Well, they've made some pretty big updates that I think is going to make everybody happy. Now, the biggest issue that I think anybody had with Suppression was random bullet deviation. What this was is once you got suppressed, you would aim down sights with a gun that's perfectly accurate, say a Magnum in close quarters. You could aim it at somebody's head, fire, and the bullet would miss because you have this incredibly crazy high bullet deviation because you are suppressed. Well, they're pretty much replacing that with muzzle sway instead of bullet deviation. So this time around, when you aim down sights with your Magnum, it's going to be very hard to aim that sight on the person's head because your muzzle sway is going to be increased. Now, if you're a good player and you can counteract that muzzle sway, then you should have no problem. If you get your sights on target and you fire, it's going to hit your target. The other big changes to Suppression are reduced suppression for most weapons out there and increased suppression for light machine guns. Also, close quarter suppression is not going to be as effective anymore. So if you're firing at somebody who's 10 feet away from you and they're firing back at you, you're not going to suppress each other very much. So in close quarter engagements, it's still going to be very much a skill-based engagement and not whoever shoots first and suppresses the other guy. Anyway, there's tons of other little bits of detail in this article. I highly recommend reading it if you want to know more about this, and I'm pumped to see what comes out at Gamescom. You know, I can't wait to see those new maps, the new vehicles. I think we're gonna again have our minds blown by the Levolution effects going on there. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.